Hello and welcome to another quick catch up here with me, Nathan Dring, and the contact centre panel. For those who don't know about me, my info's in the bio and part of the playlist with the contact centre's YouTube page. So today, I'm going to have a think about this thing of there's a quote: "What gets measured gets done," and I've heard that quite a few times. And I kind of want to put that as a question: does it really? What gets measured gets done? Maybe done the right way. Maybe not. There's a friend of mine who works in operations, and I smile because I know he says it as a joke. But his phrase was always, "In God we trust, and everything else we measure." Um, but it's interesting because I think contact centres are metriced and measured more than any other department. Like there's so much of it that has a target against it, a timing against it, some sort of operational consideration next to it. And as such, there can be a lot, maybe more control in that environment than perhaps people imagine or think. I was invited to speak at a keynote event a few years back, and I asked the question: who here, ops managers, site managers, GMs, who here has a really empowered workforce in their contact center? Hands went up everywhere in the room. And I said, great, keep your hands up if none of these things are true. Keep your hands up as long as you don't tell your people what time they've got to arrive, what they've got to wear, where they've got to sit, what they've got to do with the mobile phone, what they've got to log on to, how quickly they've got to answer, what things they've got to say, what tone of voice they've got to say it in, what they've got to then capture in your system, who, when they have a break, who they have a break with, when they go on lunch, who they go on lunch with, how long they can have a lunch, how long they can have a break, when they can go home, and very quickly hands came down, and I said again, so who here has an empowered workforce? And there was that kind of tumbleweed moment. And I didn't do it to be contentious. I just wanted to raise the question around we measure so much, but what of that is truly worth doing? And there's a great quote by a chap called Andy Hargreaves, and it says this: measure what you value instead of valuing what you measure. Because again, I think what can happen is we get so locked into, well, these are the measures, aren't they? This is what we do in the contact center industry. This is what we measure. This is what's important. And some of them definitely are. But then we set a bar of we need to hit this, and people will just do whatever it takes to hit that. Yesterday, I was doing some homeschooling for my 6-year-old, and it took best part of 2 hours for him to write a short paragraph, and it was infuriating. Um, and a part of me thought I could just tell him what to write. I could just say, write this, do this, done, sorted. Then would have been so much quicker to do, and in a very simplistic way, target hit of paragraph written, done. But actually, the way we did it was all wrong, and the approach would have been all wrong. So last week when we chatted about laser focus and the risk of sometimes having just a single focus and how that can skew in our thinking and lose the big picture. Today I just want to have to think about not laser focus, but actually misfocus. What happens when the things we're looking out for, honing in on aren't necessarily the right things? Or if we make it the right thing and the be all and end all, what that can do to people's behaviors and approaches? So I think when I worked with one client, I won't name them, but they had a thing whereby average speed of answer was really key, and they would check it at the end of the week. So what would happen is each evening, when the evening shift manager would come in, he would ghost dial the contact center. So if you don't know what that means, that's basically he'd be on his personal mobile with the contact center phone in the other hand, and he would ring, answer, ring, answer, ring, answer, ring, and he could do that, and he could get through a couple of hundred calls, all answered within less than kind of half a second, and suddenly the average speed of answer came right down until suddenly it was on target, it was where it needed to be. I worked with another client who their managers were tasked with checking the quality of conversations, all the calls that were coming in. But the calls are quite long, so in order to really understand where agents were at, they'd need to listen to each call of about half an hour, but they didn't have time for that. So what did they do? Well, they listened to about the first 10, 15 seconds. They made sure that the checks were in place for the customer, make sure it's the right customer being spoken to, and then they go, yeah, that's green, fine, good enough, done, and just kind of stopped it where it was. And similarly, a lot of sites do it with quality, where we just have a target of quality, so we need to be at 85%. So agents will do whatever it takes and say whatever it takes to jump through the required 20 questions hoops, if you like, to get to that score. It's balmy, isn't it? The fact that the way a lot of sites measure quality is the same as the way that car manufacturers measure quality. And that's where it came from. A car rolls off the production plant, 20 checkpoints done. And someone said, I like that, let's do that in a contact center. But it's not an inanimate car, is it? It's a human interaction, it's a conversation, it's different every time, it's unique. So how can just 20 questions be applied? But you hear agents going through it. I remember, it's a few years back, I was going to the States with work, and so I needed to ring my bank, won't name them, and just say, please make sure that my card's available for use when I get to the States. But I didn't start with that. I just said, look, I'm going overseas, and kind of went through this chat around what we needed and so on and so forth. And then the guy literally said, anything else I can help you with? And then it's like he suddenly remembered, he's not done some sort of empathy question or some sort of connection question. So then jump back into, and by the way, where are you going? And at that moment, actually, the genuineness of the call evaporated like that, because I knew actually this is someone who is looking to get a score, a point, a percentage, and so they're doing what it takes to get that, rather than it being genuine great service. And so we do these things so that our metrics look green. And there's a great friend of mine who, brilliant phrase, he says, what you end up with there is what we call watermelon metrics. They are green on the outside, great, glorious, but scratch below the surface and there's all kinds of red stuff going on, red behaviors, whatever it might be. So how do we avoid that? How do we do that dodge to make sure that actually we have the right measures, we have the right metrics, but we get there the right way? And so my tip would be simply this: start with the end in mind. What is the customer experience we need to have? Great, have that. And then the bit at the end that you want to kind of feed down to your agents, the bit as a leader you want to feed down is, okay, and so what is it you need from them to drive that? Because if they're not connected with, well, the impact of average speed of answer is this, or if they're not connected with, 85% on a score for quality, how do I articulate why that's better than 78%? Does that matter to a customer? All these things, unless we connect people, then we actually lose sight, and people will chase the number and not the sentiment. So start with the end in mind and have a bit of a think around, okay, well, if this is what we're going to get to, this is the experience we want for our customers, which drives our brand, supports our reputation, gives great customer service, gets, repeat business and additional spend, all those great things, then what is it we need to have? What are the behaviors, not processes, behaviors that we want demonstrating? And start with those and consider those. And the beauty of this is, you as a leader, you're the best placed person to start to understand that and shape some of that stuff. That's in your gift. So I'm not saying to you, rewrite your site's playbook on how we do things. I'm not saying rip up the ops book and go again. What I'm saying is you have a great opportunity to shape this and do this as a leader. So enjoy that. Enjoy the sunshine. Enjoy a coffee. And I'll catch up with you again soon. Take care.